Welcome to The Business Fighter with Henry Penix. Henry has been the CEO, founder, and consultant to hundreds of companies worldwide. He retired a multimillionaire, financially independent at the age of 35. Henry grew up a preacher's son and was thrown in jail 3 times for various altercations. He knows what it means to come from nothing and have to fight his way to the top. Henry is the business fighter who will teach you strategic skills for winning in business and in life. Don't just spectate, participate. It's time to get in the ring.
Hi, I'm Henry Penix. I'm very excited to be with you today. I've got a very, very, very special guest with me, Madison Penix. Madison, happy to have you.
Hi, good to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Madison is a rock star entrepreneur. She has she put in a blow dry bar, Spruce blow dry bar and salon, and she's the co-founder of Mixed Media Marketing Group, a PR agency. So, she's setting the world on fire. I think out of all of her accolades, and we'll get into those here in just a little bit, probably the thing that I'm most proud of her for being is my daughter. She's the business fighter's daughter. So if sometimes we butt heads a little bit, if we get into an argument on air, you guys just have to forgive us. Write it off as family, but we will get to truth. We will get to the real deal. And we will say something. I promise you. I promise you that we will say something that will be beneficial. We're going to pull things out. We're going to pull truths out that you're going to be able to use in your own business, whether you're starting a business or just wanting to go to the next level. So hang out with us for a little bit and let's learn together. So Madison, tell me, now I've got the unfair advantage because of knowing you all of your life, literally. Mm-hmm. And I think the main thing that stands out to me about you is that when you were in high school, junior high school, you really weren't into school that much, right?
Yeah, that's right. I went to a private Christian school. It was a college preparatory school. And I've always kind of beat to the tune of my own drum. So while everyone was preparing for the ACTs and the SATs and everything like that, I was just kind of thinking, what do I really want to do with my life? And so what I didn't want to do was focus on the classes that I was in. So at the time, and you know this,
yep.
But at the time, I was making at best, B's, but more likely C's and D's. My senior year of high school, I actually almost didn't graduate because my math score dropped so low. So I went in every morning. I, might have bribed the teacher with some Starbucks. I did before school tutoring, and I don't even know what I ended up getting on that final. I just know that he had my my number because I was going in so often for tutoring and everything like that. So he just texted me that I passed the class. So I think maybe, I don't even know if I actually passed it or if he just saw the effort.
Let you graduate. Yeah, so. Well, I want to get back to that because there's a point in there of using social capital and just being nice to people, treating them like you would want them to treat you. And sometimes if it's 50-50 and it could go 49-51, they're going to see how you treated them. I mean, I don't care whether you believe in that or not. It works. It's real. We're all humans. We all like to be treated right. And there's a thing called social capital. But before I get to that, I want to move forward just a little bit. So then you went out a couple of years, you did hair, you were a hairdresser, you put in, you kind of went into business for yourself. Yeah. And I'm going to kind of hurry through this story, but you then wanted to go to college. Your brother and sister had went to college. You wanted to go to college and look kind of in the medical field. So what did you want to be, and what took you from basically not being able to graduate high school to all of a sudden wanting to be? Did you want to be a nurse or a doctor or a?
So I was working at a hair salon in Tulsa, and I have just always been someone who follows my gut instinct, and I literally, with no thought about this at all, with the weeks leading up to it, just one day it hit me. I want to go back to school. And so I took my lunch break and I drove to Tulsa Community College. And I remembered meeting a woman a couple of years before who, Zach, my brother, it was his friend's mom, and I'd met her one time, and I was like, okay, all I know is that she works here somewhere. And so it was a huge campus. It's like the biggest community college in Oklahoma, and the biggest campus too.
That's right.
I searched the entire building, and I find her, and I just kind of show up to her door because I tried to register, and the line was like 2 hours. I was like, okay, I can't do this. I'm on a 1 hour lunch break. Like I've got to get this done right now. I felt it in my gut, but I can't wait, 2 to 3 hours. So I found this woman. I walked in, I said, hi, I'm Madison Penix. My brother, Zach Penix. And then, thankfully she was just the sweetest lady, and she really took me under her wing. She got me enrolled in all the classes. I skipped that entire line that was upstairs, and she got me enrolled. I had no idea what I wanted to study at the time. So she just put the big course book in front of me, and it was, probably this thick, just several inches thick. And I just opened it, and I saw biology, and I was just like, let's try that. I've been working with people. Maybe I'll stay in that business. And,
it was some of the hardest classes. Like there was the science of it and all that, and you didn't hardly even graduate high school.
Math, the reason that I almost didn't graduate high school because of my math grade. And so, I somehow picked the curriculum with the hardest math and science courses. But then I was thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll be, a doctor or a nurse or something in the medical field.
And how did you do when you graduated? Tell me what grade you made.
So at all throughout community college, I made a 4.0 every semester, which was huge.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I remember I thought that one of my last classes there was going to be the death of me. It was my trig pre-calc class. And I worked I remember I actually prayed over my math book. I just said, I'm going to try my hardest. God, you have to do the rest. And so I ended up not even having to take my final. I did so well in that class. But I've never spent more hours trying to learn a subject though. So I really learned the subject, and I did really well on all the tests, and it paid off in the end.
But it was because you wanted to. So I'm going to carry this theme through. I saw relational capital work for you, treating people right in high school. The guy who maybe it was 50-50 whether you passed or not, but he passed you because you said you took him Starbucks. You weren't bribing him, but you were just being nice to him and kind. And he knew that you were trying. Mm-hmm. And when I see people that I know that are trying, even people that want to meet with me or have me consult their businesses or whatever, like I go that extra mile to help them too. It's almost like when you're in a foreign country and you try to speak their language. If they see you trying, they want to help you. If you think you're better than them or just go through with this attitude, it's going to stop right there. And there's no relational capital at work for you. So you almost didn't graduate high school. You went to the community college, got a 4.0. Part of that was because I said, if you get at least a B average or above, I'll pay for your way in college.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. So, I was paying for all of this on my own at this point. So I was working 2 jobs and I was going to school. I was opening at Starbucks at 4 a.m. And then I would go to the salon and do hair. And then whenever I wasn't doing one of those 2 things, I was at school.
Wow.
And so I wanted it really bad, and I worked really hard for it. And that was another reason that I didn't want anything less than an A. If I'm paying for these courses and if I'm going through all of this, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to learn.
So when you had some skin in the game and you invested, you did better.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. So then you went from there to another university, and this university is one of the hardest ones in Oklahoma to get into, but you wound up
the highest national merit scholars, the highest number of national merit scholars in the United States, I think.
Yep, that's right. And so then you get to that college and you go through it, and I want to kind of rush through it because I want to ask you so many questions.
Yeah.
Did you have something else to say?
Well, I was just going to say, and that too was another impulse thing, is I didn't really know what was next after community college, but a semester before I got my associates, I just knew I had to go to OU. And so I'm 22 years old at this point, and most people graduate college at 22.
Right.
So everyone that I had known that was going to OU, they were graduating, they were gone. So I was like,
wow.
I don't know anyone. I'm 22 and I'm a second semester sophomore. So it kind of put me at a kind of a, not really a disadvantage, but just a different position. Yeah, just kind of a quirky position. And so, but then, the day that I had the idea, I went online and I filled out the entire application and submitted it. I think at like 3 a.m. or something like that. I just knew that I had to go to OU, and I knew that it had to be that very next semester. It would have been a lot easier to finish out my associates and then transfer with that degree. But, I knew that timing wise, something in my gut was telling me I have to go next semester.
Right.
And so I transferred in as a 22-year-old second semester sophomore in August that fall. And which is really cool because about 5 days into me living in Norman, I moved in with, just potluck roommates. I didn't know anyone. They were close to my age. I actually met the guy who I'm now marrying in September.
Oh my gosh. So if you hadn't followed your instinct and went there that next semester,
I likely wouldn't have ever met Aaron. Yeah.
You never would have met him. And he turned out to be a great guy, and he's taking the bar this summer. He's going to be an attorney, and you guys are getting married in Italy. Congratulations. And all that. But so let's stay on track. So you went through the university, and it was one of the toughest universities, one with had the most merit scholars, national merit scholars in the United States. And
I did not keep my 4.0.
And then, but when you graduated as a senior, when I went there to see you graduate, you come walking in before everyone, and you had some special tassels around your neck. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you were awarded.
So I ended up graduating from OU as outstanding senior in public relations, which was a huge 360 from obviously, almost not graduating from high school.
Yeah.
What was fun is that I didn't tell you, I didn't tell my family because I wanted it to be a surprise, but you should also know that I do have a history of, like I said earlier, beating to the tune of my own drum.
Right.
Just for example, my first day of college at OU, I took a shuttle to campus with all the other students, and they all walked right. And I just knew left was correct. So they all walked right. I walked left, and I walked almost all the way to the highway that's in Norman before I realized, okay, I'm going the wrong direction. So everyone kind of knows
because it was your own drum.
So anyway, I don't tell my family that I'm graduating outstanding senior, and all of the people with those types of awards end up sitting on stage during commencement.
Right.
And so my family saw me walk up on stage with faculty, and they all grabbed each other like, "Oh my God, she got in the wrong line! Like, what is she doing?"
I know.
And so,
oh my gosh!
I probably didn't have to tell you guys what was going on because you were all kind of freaking out a little bit, not really sure why I was walking up on stage.
So let me take you back to when you were in cheerleading in high school, and I went to an event in the gymnasium, and I saw all of these cheerleaders, and about the middle of the cheer, like 12 of them went to the left and you went to the right. So I think that's something that's, but I want to draw the line here. So you graduated outstanding senior in your PR, public relations college. Mm-hmm. And it was at one of the best colleges in the nation.
All of that. Journalism schools too.
Right. For journalism. So you got through all of that, met the guy that you're now marrying here in just a few months. And everything just worked out awesome. And the two things that I see in this, one is the relational capital. So you always treated people like you wanted to be treated. You always made the extra effort. I see that. I see that being a very strong suit of yours, and your ability to communicate with people, make them feel good about themselves, mm-hmm. and developing that relationship that you both benefit from.
Yeah,
you both benefit.
Yeah, I always showed up. So even though I didn't keep the 4.0, there were people making much higher grades than me. I was always there. I was always doing what I could. I was getting involved. I was, heading up all these different programs. And I think that combined with my backstory is what got me that title.
Yeah. So it was relational capital, treating people well. The second thing I heard in that was you didn't do it unless you wanted to do it. Like you weren't good at it unless you wanted to do it. You had to be motivated, and you had to have a little skin in the game. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you think about that now that you've kind of went through it and did so well.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, just showing up and showing people that you care will get you further than following the rules or making the grades or anything like that. It's just showing people that you care. So having the skin in the game, just kind of something showing people that you're showing up and you're putting yourself out there too.
Yeah, and you even invested that money in the community college because it was your own money, and you had to do well. And then after paying for it for yourself, you had the kind of carrot in front of you that said, if I get just to be average or greater, my dad's going to pay for my college. And that was kind of a motivator as well. But even that came with contingencies, because if you dropped under a B, I wasn't going to pay, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think you should spoil your children. I think you should give them goals, let them be attainable goals, but then, help them as much as you can. So with you, Madison, after you got out of that, then you developed what?
So after graduating, I went to DC and I did a couple of different internships. And I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do for my full-time job? And that's when Olivia called me, my sister.
But you were interning where?
In DC. So I did like a PR company, and then I did like a think tank. And in so then, DC? Yeah, in DC.
Okay.
So, I have all these different, kind of job offers and everything like that in DC, trying to figure out, do I want to stay here, or, what do I want to do? And so that's when my sister called me, and she had just left her 9 to 5. It was really a 7 to 7 job. And she was going to try to do some freelance marketing work. And so we got to talking, and she really dove into the social media marketing aspect behind everything. And, I really thought that I knew it all after being so involved in college and all my great internships and everything like that. But she was showing me things that I had never seen before. And so then we started working together, and we launched Mixed Media Marketing Group. And so basically we started with, I think, just one client, and then it just kind of slowly snowballed to 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6, 7. And then, right now we're kind of managing the ebb and flow of, seasonal clients and longer campaigns, shorter campaigns. We do a lot of event specific campaigns. So just, 3-month campaigns. And that's been going for a couple of years now. And it's been able to support both of us.
How do people find you on Mixed Media Marketing Group? How do people find you?
Yeah, just at Mixed Media Marketing Group. At Mixed Media Group, yeah. And so we've been doing that for the past couple of years, and that's been able to support us. We've had a couple of part-time employees, and then also it's helped us launch our next business, which, if you're ready, we can get into that one too.
Yeah. Well, before we go to the next business, and thanks for getting into these details. I hope everyone out there is really getting benefit from this. I'm Henry, the business fighter. This is Madison Penix. She owns Spruce. She's co-founder of Mixed Media Marketing Group, and she's telling me kind of her story. If you haven't heard anything up until now, rewind this, go hear the beginning of it, because there's some stuff that I've even learned, and I'm her father. So let's keep going. So with Mixed Media Marketing Group, you had to learn like the algorithms of Facebook. You had to learn how to work with Instagram, with Twitter, with all the social media platforms, how to turn on certain features, turn off certain features. So you kind of dove into that, educated yourself. I know I ultimately hired you for a couple of my companies that you've done extremely well with, you and Olivia. And you get results, bottom line. So is that something that you also had a passion for, and that's why you dug in and tried to learn everything you could about it to kind of be your best?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I've always really just loved social media, all the way back to the days of, MySpace and Zanga and all of these platforms that came out before Facebook. I've always, just spent a lot of time on them and connected with a lot of different people on them. But even thinking back to the first salon that I ever worked at when I was 18, 19 years old, I was even trying to run and manage their Facebook page at the time. Before this was, in 2009, 2010, before there was a huge, before there was a big, business side of Facebook. And I certainly didn't know much about it, but, Facebook changes every year, but it's changed a lot in the past 10 years too. So it's just funny to look back and think, I really enjoyed doing that even when I was, 18, 19 years old. So I've always had a passion.
Right. Do you believe your footsteps are ordered?
Oh, absolutely. And it's so funny because it's hard to see that whenever you're, someone like me who's gone down many different, bunny trails, hair school and then back to college and the views of biology, or no, okay, it's PR, and, how is this all going to come together? And so it's really interesting to see, in hindsight, how it's all kind of led me exactly to where I am today.
Wow. Okay. Well, good. Well, we've got about 10 more minutes, so let's jump right into what you're also doing. So you got a call from the school that you went to, the University of Oklahoma, and they asked you what? Let's roll that out for me just in a few minutes.
Yeah. So, like we mentioned earlier, I was really involved when I was at OU, not just with my college, but with the whole university. I would try to show up as much as I could and make the most of my time there. So I worked for the office of the executive vice president. And they are the office that's over special projects, or at least they were at the time. And I just kind of got a call out of the blue from my old boss. I think it was maybe a Tuesday. It was 9:00 at night. And so I was like, and we're close now. And so I was like, hey, what's up? Is everything okay? And she was like, hey, everything's great. I have kind of an odd question for you. And I was like, okay, what's up? And she said, OU is putting in a new building that's called Cross, and it's housing for upperclassmen, and we're trying to make it really urban. We want to put in, all these healthy restaurants and a spin studio and, all of these really fun stores. There was a Lululemon on the bottom floor, and then students will live up above, and it'll be kind of like urban housing, but in Norman, Oklahoma. And so
huge
she said,
project.
Huge project. And so she said, the executive vice president is wanting a salon to go in, kind of like a high-end salon. And I was like, oh, okay.
I've done that before.
And she knew that, my background was in cosmetology. And she also knew that, I had a love for entrepreneurship and starting businesses. And so she, long story short, got me a meeting with her boss, and we did this whole pitch. And they were on board, and they gave us a really great contract, and we were able to.
Well, they sent out an RFP first because by law they had to do that.
Yeah,
a request for proposal.
Yep. So we did that.
And so you got that, you filled it out. A few other people filled theirs out as well, and then you got the call.
Yeah, we got the call, and so we did our meeting. And I guess 5 minutes after our meeting, they decided to go with us. So it was a good meeting.
Oh,
I think
cool.
we were really able to communicate our vision for the space. And so that was back in February, and then we opened in October. And
the salon is beautiful. I mean, it is like huge glass, big 12, 14 foot ceilings. Where could people see that picture? It's in Norman. It's on the campus of the University of Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, we're big on Instagram. So at Spruce Norman would be the best way to.
At Spruce Norman, at SPRUCENORMAN, at Spruce Norman. Okay, cool.
That would be the best way to see that.
Nice.
And so, yeah, we've been open since October, and that, that could be a whole podcast episode on its own. Just was it managing?
Well, no, I want to have you back and ask you about some of those things, but to kind of, since we're running out of time to get to the end of it, you put it in, you use the PR and marketing that you knew how to do kind of for yourself. You advertised, you had your open house, you brought people in. It's been growing month after month over month. You've grown every month that you've been in there.
Yes.
I know some of the behind the scenes. I know some issues that you always have with like different employees and schedules and timing and customer satisfaction. And from seeing that, and if you're around the area, visit this place. It's amazing. I mean, it's so beautiful. I wish we had a picture to put up. But it's just so cool looking. It's very modern and it's big. I mean, it's a big salon. But from everything you've went through, Madison, with the employees, everything you've learned on managing people, you've got what, like 8, 9 people working for you now, 10?
Oh yeah. It's probably somewhere between 10 and 15. We have like seasonal people as well, because some of them are students.
Oh, so up to 15 employees. So what's been kind of a takeaway for the people listening now who have kind of followed their gut? They're kind of, thinking about starting a business, or maybe they're in business. what's that one or two, what are the one or two takeaways that you could share with the audience right now of what you've learned, number one, about putting in a business, and number two, about managing other people? So let's start with the first one, about putting in another business. What is that to you? What's your biggest takeaway? What advice would you give other people who are thinking about putting in their first business for the first time?
I would say the biggest thing about putting in at least like a brick and mortar business is, it goes back to showing up for it. So you have to get a little intense whenever you're working on putting in something as far as not compromising your vision. So we had a vision for the space, and if you see pictures of the space, it is beautiful. But there are so many instances in which that vision could have completely fallen apart had I not been there every day, showing up, pushing people. You have to kind of uncomfortably confront people and push them to make sure that your vision is being communicated. So just getting a really clear picture of what you're wanting to do, what you're wanting to put in, what the mission is, what the values are, what the aesthetic is going to be like, and then not compromising on it. I would say that's should
you be properly capitalized?
Yes.
Because I know you were putting stuff on credit cards and trying to finance it yourself. And
yeah, but we didn't compromise. Right. I mean, you want to make smart business decisions, and you certainly want to be frugal. But whenever you're laying out those values and everything that you want, just getting that really clear vision and then executing on it. You have to wake up and execute every single day. Did you ever have
a day that you didn't feel like getting out of bed and you really didn't want to go in work?
Oh yeah. There were so many days where I didn't want to, go up there and hassle everyone. I mean, I would go up there and I would go up there and they would have to kind of warn everyone that I was there so that no one would talk crap about me. Because I promise I was up there almost every single, I was living
oh my God.
And I was driving 2 hours. I was up there every single week. And I remember walking in one time saying, hey, I need to go look around again to make sure, everything's going the way that it should be. Because they were behind on this project. So they were trying to rush through it. And I just wasn't going to have that. And
these are the people that were finishing the interior for you, right?
Yeah,
these were the contractors.
Yeah, the contractors. So the guy went down the hall and he was saying, we need to go look at the salon space. And I saw him pointing don't say anything. She's right here.
So you were the badass.
I was ruffling some feathers and it was a little, obnoxious, but you have to be, whenever no one is ever going to care about your business more than you do. It doesn't matter how much money you pay them. So
with our idea of relational capital, treating people right, when you went there, you obviously treated people right because you got what you needed, but you had to be firm as well. It wasn't just all nice and bring me a Starbucks.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to really be firm, because especially when people are on a deadline, especially whenever they're falling behind that deadline, you don't want the vision to be compromised.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And so my last question for you, and then we'll wrap this up. And thank you so much for being on the show. It's an honor to have my daughter on here. I'm going to get my other two kids on as soon as I can, Olivia and Zach. And Zach was helping you doing some financial modeling for the salon too, right?
All three of us have caught the entrepreneur bug. So
yeah. Where did you get that from?
Definitely our parents.
So with employees, give me a takeaway. Give me the one thing that you've learned. You said you've got about 15 employees now. What have you learned from managing people? What do you think are maybe the top one or two things that every entrepreneur should keep in mind when they're managing other people?
I would say that you can teach someone to do pretty much any skill set. You cannot teach them to have a good attitude. So just
say that again. I love that. Listeners, I hope you get this. I've said that before, but you've lived it, Madison. Say that one more time.
Is that you can teach pretty much anyone, any skill set, but you cannot teach them to have a good attitude and a good work ethic. So just finding people that are, they're positive, they're on board, they're yes people, they're willing to show up and work hard and put their name on the line as well. That's honestly what I look for.
How do you know though, when you're interviewing people, everybody's on their best behavior? Like sometimes you just have to hire them and and see how they work? Do you give people probationary periods? Like, how do you find out what that person's really like after they've been hired?
Yeah, so my interview process has definitely intensified since first opening. But now we also do a 30-day probationary hire. So they have kind of
Wonderful.
30 days to, meet their goals, work with everyone, and a lot can come out in 30 days, I've seen. So, definitely glad that we implemented that.
And do you lead by intimidation or example?
Intimidation.
A little of both.
No, I'm just kidding. As a manager or an owner or just anyone who's in a position of authority, your attitude and your tone and your mood sets the tone and the mood for the entire space. It was incredible. The first few people that I brought in, actually, they didn't have the best attitudes, and the entire space, you could just walk in and feel negative vibes. And now, we have an awesome staff. Everyone is they're super positive. They're hard workers. They're all amazing. And it's a completely different environment. And people feel that when they walk in.
Awesome. Any lasting words, any parting words that you have for the audience as we wrap this up? From everything that we've talked about just in the last 30 minutes, what stands out to you and what do you hope that people really, really get?
I would say that the biggest takeaway is, no matter what that gut feeling is, or your dream, or, something that might be just constantly buzzing around in the back of your head, the best thing that you can do is just keep taking steps towards it. So, it's just kind of like stepping stones. It's one at a time, one step at a time until you reach that goal. But
what if I'm so scared I don't want to take a step?
One step is better than no step. So even if it's a small step, just keep moving towards that goal. There's a reason that idea is buzzing around in your head, and that, that reason could be your destiny. So.
Yeah. And for you, it was your future husband here in the next few months. It was a new business. It was a couple of new companies, and you followed your heart. You treated people right. And then you showed up.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations. So now people can find you at
Madison Penix.
At Madison Penix on Instagram. They can look at Spruce at Spruce Norman on Instagram. And
then if you go to my Instagram, you'll be able to find links to Spruce and to Mixed Media. So it's at Mixed Media Marketing, and then at Spruce Norman, and then at Madison Penix.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm Henry, the business fighter. We've had Madison Penix, the entrepreneurial rock star and the business fighter's daughter. Yes, she is. Deny it, you can't. Loved having you on, Madison. God bless, and I hope you're in town soon so that we can talk.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Love you, sweetie.
All right. Love you.
Okay, bye-bye.